Welcome to The Soul Space, the podcast that inspires you to discover your truth, ignite your passion, and align your life with the power of who you really are. I'm Georgia Rose Psychic Astrologer. I share the cosmic roadmap that guided me through astrology, tarot, and inner knowing into authentic living. I'm here to help you decode your soul's cosmic story, reconnect with your passion, and create the life you are meant to live. It all starts within, and it all starts now in the soul space. Hey everybody, it's Georgia Rose. Must be Monday at 7 o'clock because here I am in the soul space. So I am very frustrated because my phone keeps dropping the last text. So anytime a person texts me their phone number of somebody I have to call or whatever, it's gone. I don't know. I think it's all of these solar storms flying around and the G5s and the 3i Atlas and the retrogrades. We have 5 planets in retrogrades, guys. So if all of you beautiful soul space sisters and brothers, soul space sisters and misters will share the show, share the link, because everyone's texting me, asking me for the link, and I don't know, my text isn't working great. So anyway, happy Monday. I hope you guys had a fabulous week since we last spoke, and that you are having wonderful retrogrades, that you're having a lot of awakenings and things like that. Tonight on the show, we are going to talk about Pluto, what that means in your chart. When I do a chart reading for somebody, like what does Pluto signify in the chart? What do I look for? If you want to phone in, call in, we can put the phone number on the screen if we have it. Carmine's back from his world travels. And we can, if anybody wants to call in, I'll try and let you guys know what your Pluto means. So interesting week with these retrogrades. I will say my technology is not obeying. It's not working for me, but I'm hanging in there. I'm trying to get it done. And also we have a new moon in Scorpio coming in, which we're going to talk about at great length as well. Did some research on that for you guys. So as usual, I always need to adjust to my beautiful studio, and you all need a chance to just get into the soul space. So we always start every week with a cosmic comedy. And this week is about Scorpio and Pluto. It's time for Cosmic Comedy, where Mercury retrograde is the main character, the lunations are loony, and the stars are a punchline.
Ma'am, you stand charged with first-degree murder. How do you plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor. I'm a Scorpio. A triple Scorpio. And I also forgot my opal aquamarine necklace at home today.
Full acquittal, you're free to go.
I knew you'd understand.
Queen, I was getting Scorpio energy when you walked into the room.
Are you a Cancer, by the way?
I'm a Cancer.
I knew it.
Water signs, we gotta stick together. Girly, Queen, you crazy triple Scorpio bitch.
We're just a bunch of crazy bitches.
Planetary alignment too, everything's off.
Saturn and Jupiter are doing fucked up shit.
It's the planets.
She killed my sister!
Well, she shouldn't have been a Gemini.
She came at me with her Gemini energy, and it was just, I have to kill you.
You hear it right there. She didn't have her birthstones.
You get it.
Go home, girly, live your best life.
I'm gonna get out of here.
Get some crystals and birthstones and shove them up your hoo-ha.
So it really is true. Every sign has a different way that they plead guilty. And we can all attest to that because, boy, we'll do whatever we have to do to get out of it, right? And with 5 planets in Scorpio, I can attest to that. Not guilty. Not guilty. I didn't do it. So tonight we're going to talk about the Pluto energy. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. That's why I talk about them kind of interchangeably. But on tonight's podcast, we're going to talk about Pluto and what it means in evolutionary astrology. And I thought up until the beginning of next year, intermittently, I'd take a planet and really do a deep dive on a different planet every once in a while, because I think if you are really interested in astrology, doing a deep dive on each planet at a time really gives you a great understanding of exactly what the archetype of that planet is and how it's really going to, work for you and in your particular chart and what to look for when you start to study those planets. So Pluto. So Pluto, you'll hear all the buzzwords out there for the planet Pluto. It's transformation. A lot of people will talk about, the phoenix rising from the ashes when they talk about Scorpio energy. But Pluto is much deeper than that. And in the type of astrology that I do, which is evolutionary astrology, it's all about evolving the soul and your evolution and your soul path. Thus why this podcast is called Soul Space. Soul Space. Soul Space is what I do daily. In my real estate life. So you have all these buzzwords about Pluto, transformation, metamorphosis, all those things. But what Pluto is actually about is also about attachment. And so when we have Pluto transit in our chart, which means that some other planet or something else is having a conversation with our natal Pluto, wherever it is. Like for many people of my generation, because Pluto is a 30-year planet, it'll stay in a sign about 25 to 30 years. We just had Pluto go out of Capricorn and go into Aquarius. But in our birth chart, Pluto is a certain place. In my birth chart, it's in Virgo. Most of my friends and contemporaries, they have it in Virgo. But now, since I do readings, and some of the people I do readings for are much younger, they'll have Pluto, say, in Sagittarius. Our parents probably were Pluto in Leo generation. And that's why they all seem to have a similar way that they brought children up, right? Leo is a very dominant energy. And most of us who grew up in the 60s, 70s, late 70s, early 80s, we all had, a different upbringing than people who grew up in the early 60s, or the 50s. And it has a lot to do with where Pluto is in your chart. Pluto is actually the driving force in a chart. When I do a reading, it is the soul's desire. I always look first at any chart where Pluto is, its house and placement, and that tells me exactly why this lifetime was incarnated and what you are here to actually accomplish in your life, along with other things in the chart that all point to things. But Pluto in the chart is very much where we're going to have osmosis. And the reason I say osmosis is because a lot of times we think of the butterfly when we think of Pluto energy because, the butterfly was once a caterpillar and changed into a butterfly, which is great, right? Great, beautiful analogy. But what most people don't understand about that analogy is that the caterpillar was always a butterfly. It had an osmosis, a metamorphosis. It was two things coming together to create something else. That's what Scorpio and Pluto energy is about. It's about the metamorphosis that you come into your full potential. You've always been your full potential. You just weren't the embodiment of it. You weren't activating it and acting on it in your world. It isn't like we just wake up one day and become someone. We're always that person. We just don't access it. The same as the caterpillar. It has to go into its chrysalis and metamorphize. And now all of a sudden it becomes a butterfly. It didn't just transform and magically change. It activated the butterfly energy by a process. That's Pluto. Wherever Pluto is in the chart, it's going to activate a process of your metamorphosis. So how does it do that? It does that by working on your attachments to things, to fear, to whatever is deeply hidden in your life. And it slowly brings it to the surface, just like that caterpillar in that cocoon, right? That thing that it goes into, and it comes out a different vibrant colors and flying its wings, right? That's what Pluto does for us in our lifetime. It brings us into what's deeply hidden. And when we go into that immersion, we immerse in this time period. It could be life crisis. It could be healing crisis. It could be a crisis of loss. It could be whatever your deepest fear is that you have avoided or never really wanted to go to. Maybe it's being alone. Maybe it's losing a certain person. Maybe it's being poor or being hungry or whatever it is. We all have some kind of a fear that's deeply in the most vulnerable place within us. Pluto will reveal that in some way by making us actively have it happen in our life. And it's usually something we think we can't handle or we can't overcome. But through this deep immersion in the process of that loss and showing us what was hidden, Pluto brings us to rising from the ashes of that, and we deeply discover our butterfly, our wings, our color. And so through that immersion, through the loss of the immersion, that what was hidden that we have to go through, Pluto brings us into a really deep connection with ourself. And through that humbling and the honesty and the truth of that, going into the deepest vulnerability that you can, being stripped bare and holding your own hand and saying, I can do this. I'm in this place. And it emerges a very intense, deep, dormant part of yourself. And that's why Pluto transits are painful, but so beautiful. Because in the weeping, in the grieving, in the loss, we find our true heart and soul. And I can only attest to my own very deep Pluto transits. And I always remember I wrote a lot of blogs at the time and did a lot of deep writing at the time. And I always remember the feeling of this really brutal unveiling almost of my heart. And also the beauty of it was that my heart was always there. I just wasn't listening to it. And I remember one day walking in the park and having that revelation and realizing, wow, I've always been this person. I've always been this strong. I've always been this self-reliant. I just didn't know it. And all of us have that. And that's Pluto in the chart. It comes into our life to show us that we awaken through death, and we awaken to death, the death of something, by living life, by saying, wow, this horrible thing happened. And you know what? I think I'm going to be okay. That's Pluto. Many people, depending on where Pluto is in the chart, will go into that immersion, that deep connection with themselves, and never complete it. They stay in the wallowing. They stay in the depth. They stay underground. They stay in what was hidden. And they become cynical and fearful, and their whole life is ruled by fear. They stay in the emotion of it all. And that's not what Pluto wants us to do. Pluto wants us to come up out of the ashes, fly the wings, be the butterfly. And I'm sure everyone watching tonight and who watch the replay have had that experience in one way or another. So when you think of Pluto in the chart, think of this deeply sacred place that is within each of us. It's hidden from the world because we fear the exposure of it. We fear the actual happening of it until the day comes when what we have feared happens, and it's not as bad as we thought. In the beginning, it might feel that way, but it's really not. And so remember that, like I always say, everything in the chart has a polar opposite, right? Not in order to show us the opposition, but in order to integrate the energy. So opposite of Scorpio is Taurus. Scorpio is where we deeply go into our vulnerability and what is hidden, ruled by Pluto, and we come out with a self-reliance. We come out understanding that although we may get hurt, we can lose an arm, we can lose a leg, we're still going to be able to function. We can have a broken heart, and we can still love with it. The opposite across the zodiac is Taurus. And that's why Taurus is the awareness of the threat. Taurus is all about self-preservation, as I've said many times in the show. And that's because we're in Scorpio and Pluto energy, we become aware of this deep vulnerability, and we want to explore it and merge with it. And we submerge in order to go deeply into the depth and come out with our color, our light, our wings, our butterfly. But across the zodiac is Taurus, which is the energy that shows us, whoa, 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 don't let this happen. You better self-preserve. You can't do this. You're not gonna survive it, right? Taurus is that awareness of the exposure. It's the awareness that the threat of whatever is going to happen is instinctive. It's an instinctive awareness of that threat and something ending, that death is to be avoided at all costs. Whereas Scorpio knows the experience of the death brings us to life. So I hope that makes sense for all of you, because it's a really deepest part of our chart, and it's a really important thing for us to understand when we're going through metamorphosis, we're going through deeply cleansing, deeply sacred parts of ourselves because of a deep loss. Pluto's going to loosen up and bring out what's been dormant. We shouldn't go into the self-preservation in the sense of avoidance. What you want to do is merge with the experience. Let go of the attachment. Taurus is going to be the attachment to the self-preservation. Don't do it. Don't need to see it. Let me just stay in 3-dimension. Scorpio is where we do the growth. We build the idea, where we come up with, wow, I've always been this person. Who knew? I was too busy self-preserving to find out. So when an attachment is formed in Taurus to a person, an animal, it sets us up for the loss. Love is beautiful. We get attached, but it's setting us up for the loss. And that's why across the chart is this beautiful Scorpio energy ruled by Pluto that says, you know what? You love this thing. You love these earrings. You love this car. You love this person. You love this dog. That's good. You're holding on to it to self-preserve. I don't want to be poor. I'm holding on to this money. Pluto and Scorpio is going to make you lose it. So you realize you don't need the money. You are who you are. Same thing with, whatever we are attached to in an unhealthy way. Pluto's going to come in and dig that up so that you have to say, wow, my worst fear just happened. My attachment is gone. I still want it, right? It's going to have claw marks on it. But Scorpio says, no. You can survive this because there's somebody underneath all that. You don't need to self-preserve. You don't need to hold on to the stuff. We're going to show you what's really your core. And that core will be revealed. And you may be in a fetal position, crying your eyes out, the worst fear you ever had in your life, but you will come out of it. And the beautiful part of it is that's where all your wisdom is. When you feel that, the wisdom is there. And just like Lori just said, you develop the resilience. And once you get through that, you're always going to be okay. You've been through the worst. You're good. Don't fear the worst. It's going to build you. It's going to bring you your character. The root of all suffering is attachment. We all know that, right? It's pretty fundamental. But as we learn to trust and share that inner part of ourself, that is that Pluto in the chart, that deep scorpionic merging with our own soul. As soon as we learn to trust that, we don't need the attachments anymore. We might make them, but we know their impermanence. And that's the real lesson of Pluto, is we're only here for a certain amount of time. If it doesn't work out, you get the next life to do it. That's my belief. But the consistent need to connect, to attach, becomes more an awakening than a death. And when we do that, the possibility of death to our sacred part, the part we don't want to feel that in, once it's exposed, we realize it's not so bad. It's like the first time you go to the doctor as a kid and you have to get a needle. Oh my God, you're terrified. Oh, I'm going to die if they put a needle in my arm. And after a while, you're just like, here's my arm. I know I need to get blood work. Right? Didn't kill you. So I had something with Sarah here. Sarah says Pluto in Virgo in the 5th house, along with Lilith and Uranus. So Uranus with Pluto is going to make these type of things that we're talking about come into your life very suddenly. It will be that you are going to learn quickly. It's going to be like the Great Awakening will come in a flash for you. Almost like you'll have a feeling sometimes when life changes or life events happen in this regard, in this framework. You may have a feeling like there's a part of you that kind of always knew this was going to happen, but when it happens, you just can't believe it. You're like, wow, I never thought that was going to happen, but you really did. It's that kind of a feeling. In the 5th house, it's going to have to do with children. It's going to have to do with your own inner child. And in Virgo, of course, Pluto in Virgo, we are the generation of learning through loss in order to find our competency. And that's Virgo. Virgo energy requires adjustment. So it'll be adjustments to do with children, your own children and your inner child in order to find your own competency. And you'll have a lot of situations like that, not just with your own children, but also I know grandchildren for you and anything like that. And your own childlike lightheartedness. Creativity is also extremely heightened in this. So don't stifle your creativity, whether you draw or paint or do puzzles or, play. You have to have that playfulness with your creativity in order to allow your Pluto to express. Very, very important. So Sherry says, is this why I'm cleaning my junk drawer right now? It could be. Sometimes Pluto will make us go deeply into what's hidden and we'll kind of throw out everything. That's more Virgo energy. But if you have Pluto in Virgo, that would be why, which you probably do. I know you're a contemporary of mine. So what this is all about, okay, the Pluto thing is all about is life is going to remove something, and that abandonment, that abduction forces an armor on us. And you become identified with that armor, that Taurus self-preservation. Pluto comes in and strips the armor. in whatever way it needs to do in your chart, in your lifetime that your soul has contracted, that is what it's going to do. And so once we recognize something sacred in ourselves that's meaningful to us, then that sacredness, our own vulnerability, awakens the sacredness of life for us. And that's why we say death awakens life. I often say, I watched both my parents die, and I've watched a lot of people pass over, been with them at those final moments, have helped people pass over. And it's, in a way, when you talk about death, it has its repulsiveness to it because, the body does deteriorate and we have all this loss, and it's just horrific for the people who left behind. But it's also one of the most beautiful things you'll ever experience. And once you do that, the sacredness of life becomes larger than life. Life isn't just about, the dash in between, right? Now everything becomes so sacred. Especially, I do work with cancer patients, and everything is so sacred in that framework because when someone is on their way to transitioning. And so when that happens, it awakens something in you that makes you live life differently. My own cancer journey did that for me. When you face your own mortality, that vulnerability in you becomes morphed with, that osmosis becomes your own sacredness of life. And that's really the osmosis, is that vulnerability in you becomes transfigured. It actually changes shape. It changes the landscape of you. And so now attachments become almost osmosis, and they teach you that impermanence. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. It's such wisdom when you can experience that. So that's the Pluto. So now Pluto in Scorpio. Pluto in Scorpio, which a lot of people have if you're, born in that era, it will be more amplifying these things for that generation. And if you think about it, the Pluto and Scorpio generation was the generation who, when they were very, very young, went through 9/11, So there's always going to be things like that. It's awakening the reality of death by simply living. And this time of year is Scorpio time. We're going to go into Sagittarius soon. So remember that Scorpio-Taurus axis, the opposites in the chart, is the human condition. Taurus is the need to self-preserve because we want to sustain life. And Scorpio is that everything's impermanent, it all dies. So the Taurus energy makes us want to sustain it, and the Scorpio energy makes us accept it. No, everything's going to die. It doesn't have to be that scary. So it's the balance between that which we need to preserve and that which we know is not permanent. It's the balance. So when you understand life and love at the deepest level, you're not fearful of the loss because love never dies. It just transcends into a different form. So Cheryl says that she survived the monster. I guess that's what we're calling Pluto tonight. That's fine. And if anybody wants to put if they know where their Pluto is, I'll tell you what it means and stuff. I'm going to go through a really quick rundown, and then we'll talk a little bit about the new moon, because I'm excited about this new moon. I think it's going to be really nice for us. And also right now, one of the reasons why I love to keep a journal just for myself, doesn't mean you have to publish it, God knows. People are spilling enough stuff out on the sidewalk these days. And the phone number to call in is also on the screen if anyone wants to call in and talk. So the reason why it's great to journal is because right now, for instance, where the planets have been the last couple of days and leading up to this new moon, which is on the 20th in Scorpio, this energy that we have right now with the grand water trine that's in play, which I'm not going to go into too much detail in, but this energy right now is going to repeat for us again in July. We're closing out a lot of doors, and 2026 is the closing door. Some of you who follow Richard Rudd probably have heard him talk about that. I'm taking a lot of his courses right now. Very, very deep energy. If you're going to do any of the Richard Rudd, Gene Keys, or human design courses, I strongly suggest doing nothing else but that. It's a lot. But the energy that we're in right now is going to repeat in July, and 2026 is a year of closing doors. And by that, we mean 2027 is going to be whole new energy. New energy. So you want to use 2026 to make all of your adjustments and transitions. So whatever is going on right now in the charts, right now for you guys in the world, this energy will repeat next July. So if you are feeling creative, you're starting a project, you're doing something, just know that come July, you're probably going to recycle back to this. So Liz says that she has Pluto in Virgo, which is this generation, my generation, in the 12th house. Now, the 12th house is naturally Pisces in the chart. It'll be Virgo in your chart, obviously. But when you have Pluto in the 12th, it's deep soul work. And that's also why you probably have a tendency towards very heightened intuition and psychic ability, because 12th house would be that. So Pluto in your chart might give you some dives in your life where you had to really come to terms with that energy and your belief system and what your soul is really telling you to do. In the 12th house, it's going to be the decaying of something, like the decaying of one belief system that has to do with, sometimes it can be addiction, it can be fantasy, it can be your belief system with your own psychic ability in the 12th house, that Pisces energy of being able to connect to other realms. So if you have Pluto there, it's going to very much make you want to dive deeper, deeper, and deeper into the occult. And you will have certain transformations in your life where you have to make decisions about doing that and forming your boundaries. And so that's going to be a really big theme in your life with that transit. A lot of times you'll have to make adjustments to that energy in your life, but it's all about, your soul came here to pursue connection with source energy, with other realms. Trisha is just like myself. She's got Pluto and Virgo in the 9th. That's why she and I are so connected in our spiritual belief systems and things like that. Pluto in the 9th is a lot of times you will pursue occult things. You will pursue different belief systems. You are here to find your truth. Anyone who has Pluto in the 9th house, it's all about truth, truth, truth. What is true? What is not true? I have to live my truth. I don't care what you think. This is what I think. I got to live it. That is a Pluto in Virgo in the 9th. And what will happen is with Virgo there, you're going to have judgments about your belief system that you have to stand strong enough in your belief systems to allow them to come forward in your life and not allow the judgments to be so harsh. Same thing, Sherry, if it's the 9th house. 9th house in the chart is all about our belief systems. It's higher learning. It is travel also. Like if you're drawn to foreign travel, foreign languages, you might speak a different language. Pluto there is all about the truth. It's all about belief systems. It's also going to make you want to look at the bigger picture and find the true meaning of life. In the 9th house, that's Pluto in the 9th. Every crisis that happens to you will help you find truth. It will happen for the truth. All right. So I'm going to go through, since we're starting on that, I'm going to go do a quick deep dive into Pluto through the houses. So first of all, in the houses, if you're in a first house Pluto, this is all about self-empowerment. It's going to be identity issues. And it's also going to be about freedom, like personal will. Like you'll have to break free from a lot of conditioning. Your soul came here to do that. If it's in this, and it's about all your individuality, but in a way of breaking free from past conditioning. Pluto in the first is all about finding your freedom in your relationship with yourself. In the second house, Pluto is all about the Taurus energy, really. It's all about that self-preservation and breaking free from that. In the second house, Pluto wants us to evolve that survival self-worth mechanism so that we're not hiding in fear of it, but that we are expanding and understanding our own resources for survival, not depending on external things for survival. And you'll also carry very deep fears around loss or abandonment with Pluto in the second house. In the third house, you're going to evolve through communication, perception, language is going to be very important to you, and mental frameworks. So the soul may have karmic wounds around being not unheard or misunderstood, and you have come here to stand in the power. Usually when someone has Pluto in the third house, it'll be a lot of things with the throat chakra. Oftentimes if someone comes to see me, they will have a lot of things with their throat, tonsils out, repeated strep or sore throats. because their Pluto, their soul is not being heard, and Pluto came here to force that communication to the surface. So a lot of times that will happen. So in the third house, it's all about Pluto came here to speak its truth and evolve through communication. In the fourth house, it's all about emotional security. This is the home and family. It's the mother. It is healing the inner foundation and family. So if you have Pluto in the fourth, you may have deep wounds and things that have to be healed and come through transformation for you through the family and the family dynamic, especially females. It could be dad too, especially if Jupiter is there. But if you have females that you have had transitions with, in the sense of they've shaped your life in some way, and you've had to a transformation or a metamorphosis through that with wounding. In the fifth house, it's going to be creative expression, like we were just talking about with Sarah. This is personal joy. That's why I say Pluto wants to express in that house. It's going to be your expression, your personal joy. It's finding life in color, coloring and colored pencils and painting and drawing and going out and seeing vibrant sunsets and sunlight. Light is going to be very important to you. It is about how powerful love can be through creativity. And it'll be about children, your own, other children, and grandchildren. In the sixth house, and also in the fifth house, it's about reclaiming that inner child voice and healing that, being authentic to it. In the sixth house, it's going to be all about service in your daily routine. In the sixth house, you will have to make adjustments, and you will, and by that I mean things will happen in life where you have to learn flexibility. You have to learn to not be so rigid and adjust through service, through not carrying that perfectionism and martyr patterns, because you'll want to be the doer, the caretaker to the extreme. And with Pluto in the sixth house, it wants you to find that humility of service, but also the empowerment through the adjustment of, I don't need to be the martyr and the sacrificial lamb in order to be someone of importance and competency. I can adjust things so that I find my own competency through whatever comes through in my perfectionism or loss. And usually in the sixth house, you're carrying those martyr patterns from a past life experience. In the seventh house, it's all about relationships. In the seventh house, it's about karmic contracts. It's going to be all relationships. It's going to be relationships with others, how you configure yourself through relationships. And you may have deep wounding regarding intimacy and how you reflect on those woundings and the intimacy. You could have guard up all the time. Maybe you carry that from a past life and you have trouble with intimacy, things like that. In the eighth house, it's going to be deep emotional wounding through abandonment, betrayal, trauma, because that's the natural Scorpion house of the charts. You will have a different sign there most likely, unless you're an Aries rising. But it's evolving through deep, deep emotional, like working with your fear and your shadow. In the eighth house, that's like it's a tough placement for Pluto. It's an energy that, you're going to have abandonment most time early in life, or abandonment, which will carry a trauma. But the soul came here in this life to heal it and make you very strong. It's the classic Scorpio Pluto story that we talked to at the top of the show. And then the ninth house we spoke about pretty much at length. That's your belief systems, your spiritual truth, philosophical exploration. You're going to want to really think about what makes people tick, what makes things work, what do you believe? And usually with a ninth house Virgo, you have some kind of a soul imprint from a life where you were persecuted for religious beliefs, or you were somehow held down, like you have exile imprints or dogmatic imprints where you were, an overzealous preacher and everyone had to think like you thought. One of the key messages Pluto in the ninth is about is diversity, acceptance, no judgment. Huge, huge lesson for the ninth house Pluto. 10th house Pluto is public impact. It's legacy. It's soul-aligned authority, meaning that you will have a karmic imprint if you are a 10th house Pluto with a parent or a person of authority, a parent-like figure in your life that you have to overcome. Typically speaking, a 10th house Pluto is someone who grows up in a very, rigid culture, and they don't believe that way. And when they become an adult, they're kicking and screaming out of the nest because they just don't believe what the family believes or the group believes, and they are here to release those karmic burdens and around status or responsibility. Like this is very common sometimes with cultures that have a very patriarchal type leaning, or maybe they are very rigid Christian background where, certain things are forbidden. You will come in with a 10th house Pluto because you're struggling with the way the world sees you and the way you really want to be. In the 11th house, you're going to carry things for the groups of people in the collective. Collective is all the souls in the world. You'll have a collective vision. You'll be very innovative. You'll want to be around soul tribes, but your Pluto will test that, and you'll have wounds and repeats around alienation and being thrown out of the group, or starting a group and thinking it's really great, and then things happen and you get betrayed, or people rebel against you and you're alienated against. Constantly happening with groups of people, and your Pluto is here to find its own tribe through your own authenticity and belief systems. And then we spoke about the 12th house. The 12th house is you're here to surrender. You're here to delve into the mysticism so that you can complete your karmic role. And wherever you are, it's very important for you to find those connections with source. It doesn't have to necessarily be with other people. You could meditate on your own or form your own group or whatever. But in the 12th house, Pluto, you want to embody that connection to source, whether that is through nature or through something that you do, because that's what you're here for. Isolation is the worst thing that you can do with a 12th house Pluto. Isolation is not good. So I'm just going to go back because I saw that Liz was saying something. Liz says, very true, Georgia. I can connect with the other realms since I was a little, but didn't understand what was going on. Yeah, that's typical of a 12th house Pluto, because in that placement, your Pluto is actually ruled by Neptune. And Neptune is that floaty planet out of bounds with no boundaries, just wants to like, woo, wee, that's that energy. So Cheryl says she doesn't like Pluto. Well, I hear that from everyone going through Pluto transits. And this is what I'm going to say to you. Pluto is about our core evolutionary intention. That's in the type of astrology and the belief system that I know is my truth. That is my truth. Might not be yours, but that's what it is. So what you want to do is wherever Pluto is in your chart, look towards the exact opposite. Like if Pluto's in Scorpio, you're going to go to Taurus. If Pluto's in Aries, you're going to go to Libra. Whatever we call the polarity point, the exact opposite point of Pluto, that shows you the path of integration, which is your soul's medicine. So don't hate Pluto, because Pluto is going to bring you to a place that nothing else can bring you. It's going to bring you to your full potential. It does it by showing us where we are disempowered in order for us to become empowered. That's all you got to remember. Pluto shows you where you are disempowered to bring you into your power. Not easy, but that's what it does. So I've got like 5 or 10 minutes left. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the new moon. And if you have any questions, guys, Sherry says she loves that. Thank you. I talked about the 8th house Pluto, Cheryl. If you have any other questions, put them in chat. And yeah, Neptune energy is definitely in you. You are definitely a bit of a Neptune, Liz, but that's what I love most about you. Because you always like hit the nail on the head because you're so connected psychically. But at the same time, you give us an idea that none of us had because you're out there. Like we're all out there and then you're out there, So it's really cool stuff. So, and please share the show, guys. If you think this is great info and you think somebody should hear it, please share the show. Put it on your pages because we're really trying to grow the audience. Definitely want to do that. So do that for me. I would love you all. If I did something if I gave you something valuable here today, give me something valuable and share the show so we get more subscribers. So this particular new moon, want to just do this really, really quick with you. So the Scorpio new moon energy is an emotional detox. You're going to be emotional. Most of us are already emotional because of what's going on in the world, but this is about integrating those emotions. Try and understand the emotion by going underneath it. Pluto likes to go into what's hidden, right? So don't always just take what it is on the surface, all right? Catherine Grau says she absolutely loves what you're saying, and I'm definitely sharing it with someone who needs it. But I want it more. Thank you. Yep, do it. It's going to happen. Share, because it'll change people. So what you want to do if you're feeling emotional is, first of all, like I always say, don't disengage. Engage with your emotion. Our power is in our emotion. So stick with it. You know, maybe this is a weekend coming up or a week coming up where you are going to kind of, you know, be in your own presence. Sometimes that's how I feel. And I can feel that this new moon and into the weekend, I'm probably going to want to like just be quiet. I just want to be quiet. I said that to someone today. I said, I just need quiet. I need quiet, please. So it's going to be an emotional detox. New moons are times when you want to set a new intention. So release what does not serve you any longer in the next couple of days. And then the 20th, which is Thursday, you want to have that new intention, the cleansing energy. Scorpio is about death. It's about secrecy. In an energy like this, in a sky like this, you may find things being revealed that you didn't know or you thought you knew, and now it's confirmed. It's those things that come up that you kind of figured that was going to happen, but you just didn't want to face it. It's time to plant seeds of transformation. Whatever comes up, the secrecy, the depth, use it as a rebirth. It's your soul tie. You know, say, thank you, Pluto, for showing me what I needed to see. Here's some affirmations. First of all, we do have a grand water trine floating around out there, so it's a great time to do your rituals with your bath. You know, take a salt bath, take, scented oils. Allow yourself to cry. Release those chemicals that have been making you sick. Journaling. What am I ready to release? Do that in the next few days. Then on the new moon, what do I want to come into my life? Do a candle ceremony. Burn what no longer serves, right? All those cliches. Here's some affirmations for the Scorpio new moon. I release what no longer serves my soul's evolution, right? It's like we put these roadblocks up. We've got the stop signs in front of us, and then we want to grow our soul. Get rid of the stop signs. My emotions are sacred messengers. I want everyone to memorize that one. My emotions are sacred messengers. So that when someone from the patriarch tells you, oh, you're too emotional, stop talking to me about emotion. I need logic here. We are all going to say from now on, my emotions are sacred messages. My emotions are sacred messages. So when anyone from the patriarch tells you you're too emotional and you got to get logical, I need you to be logical here. You got too emotion going on. What are we going to say, ladies? We're going to say, my emotions are sacred messages. Next affirmation, I am safe to feel deeply and transform fully. I am safe to feel deeply and transform fully. My emotions will take my intuition to where I have to go. And then this one I love. I rise from the ashes of my past, reborn in truth. I rise from the ashes of my past, reborn in truth. So this Scorpio new moon is going to come in, may reveal a bunch of stuff to us, may make us a little emotional, but I'm going to tell you, it's going to work. Work our Pluto, work our stuff. We might feel fear, we might feel anxiety, but go through the storm, because I'll tell you, you're going to find a rainbow after it, and you guys know what I'm talking about. And that's about it. I mean, this is all for our soul's healing path. So if you're opposite to whatever your Pluto is, look at that, because that's the key to integration. If you want to dive deeper into your own Pluto, just book a reading. Zencuda.com. Zencuda. It's on the screen. Zencuda.com. Within 45 minutes to an hour, we will have you zipping around the zodiac and knowing exactly what your soul path is. I guarantee. All right. So if you thought anything I said here was valuable tonight, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Zencuda. And also, you can subscribe to me on Facebook at Zencuda Soul Space and also on Instagram at Zencuda Official. And you know where to reach out to me at Zencuda.com. You can put comments here on this video. I always respond. And if you need a reading, let's do it. We're going to go into a new year soon. Let's find out what it's all about for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Georgia Rose, your psychic astrologer, and I'll be back here Monday night at 7 o'clock. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel because I have shorts and all kinds of stuff on there. Bye-bye.